All right, hello, I'm Mr. Rogers,
And I'm Mrs. Froman.
and you're watching the video notes for this will be section 3-3 on fungi. So, on here, guys, fungi are a weird bunch of living things. So, in the pictures right here, so the question is, what do ringworm, lichens, yeast, and penicillin have in common? Definitely different. Here's a yeast cell. There's ringworm.
Ringworm. Ugh.
There's a lichen, and there's penicillium.
Yeah, it doesn't look like penicillin to me.
What I'm used to, no.
Yeah.
But they're all fungi. They all fall under the kingdom fungi. So we've been talking about protists, its own kind of kingdom. There's a lot of variety in there.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to focus on the actual kingdom of fungi.
So fungi all share three characteristics. They're all eukaryotes, so they all have a nucleus. They use their spores to reproduce. And a spore, it's not really a seed, but it acts kind of like a seed. It's not very protected, it's tiny, but it has all the information to start a new organism. And then they're all heterotrophs. They get their food from other organisms.
So eukaryotes, spores reproduce, heterotrophs, those three things.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the biggies.
That's what makes them them. So,
Yep.
and you can see all different types. Think of our typical mushrooms, kind of
Yeah.
one. We're over here. But even some of our other types over here. These are fun, like we get like the morels, or more the ones we can get. Oh, there they are. Fun to eat. The Asomyces. There you go. So the structure, guys, all of them, almost all fungi are made of structures called hyphae. And basically just a bunch of branching tubes. They're like tubes that match up the body, or make up the body of most multicellular fungi. And they're all kind of interconnected. And if you ever broke apart a mushroom, that's all you can almost see the threads of hyphae coming out. Yeah, that makes up the body of almost all fungi, especially what you see above when that mushroom comes out. There's a few more structures that we're going to add in. But you can see here's kind of a drawing of one, but also under a microscope, you can see these tube-like hyphae are all just kind of interconnected. So underground, if you think about a fungus underground, it's like a webbing of the hyphae underground.
And the most common one we're familiar with is the club fungi, and that's the regular mushrooms that we see. Yeah, so the stalk is what holds it up off the ground, and then the cap protects the little gills that are inside, and the gills are where you find the spores, and then all of those structures are made up of those hyphae.
Again, all made of the hyphae. The only thing different would be the gills, probably not quite the hyphae, because I got the spores in there. But other than that, the cap and everything you can peel apart and just find it all made of hyphae. So how do most fungi get food? Well, these hyphae will grow into a food source, and they kind of eat opposite of us. I always say we eat our food, then digest it. They digest it, and then they eat it.
Yeah.
So these chemicals kind of come out of the hyphae and break down. The other, most of them are decomposers, and digest that food, and then the hyphae can absorb it once it's been broken down. And so it kind of breaks down its food, then it eats it. We think about it rotting an orange, the orange rots, and the mold is on there because it's breaking down that orange so it can eat it. And there's kind of a simple drawing of it. You can see where they release those enzymes. It breaks down, or rots, whatever you want to say, the food, wherever it is, and then that once it's broken down, it can eat it.
Yep. And reproduction in fungi, they do reproduce asexually with those spores produced in the structures called the fruiting body. So the mushroom sticking up out of the ground is the fruiting body.
So you only see those ones going to reproduce. That's the only time you're going to see that mushroom.
Yeah. So usually the rest of the fungi is underground. You don't even see them. And then they're in yeast. They actually do budding, where a little tiny, that one right there,
buds off.
Little tiny one buds off the side, and then it pops off and grows into a big yeast cell.
This one has a couple of them starting there.
Yeah.
Now, they can also, we talk about being able, if you're a living thing, you can recombine that DNA somehow. So, and that's the idea of sexual reproduction, where that DNA is being recombined. So two separate hyphae from two separate fungi can kind of grow together, and then a new fruiting body comes from that, and that DNA is kind of recombined, and so that new fruiting body or new mushroom, whatever it might be, the DNA, all that spores, and those spores are going to be new and unique.
Yeah, because they're the DNA combined together and made a new one.
So in this thing called a spore, what is this thing called a spore?
They're kind of funky looking, aren't they?
Yeah, under the microscopes there,
Yeah. Big old electron microscope image there. They're little lightweight structures that have a protective covering, but it's easily carried by wind and water, so it just blows away. If you've ever stepped on one of those puffball mushrooms, You step on that and it's like poof, big cloud of spores comes
Everywhere.
out. So
I mean, even the air, I know it's kind of wintertime, but you probably would
Oh.
still find probably a small amount of
There's-
spores in the air. Always,
yeah, that's because if you leave bread out, it's going
It's
to get
gonna-
mold
well, it
on it.
happens.
So
It's
yeah.
already they're already there. Just the right conditions for them are needed
Yep.
for it to grow.
Yep.
So some other types, guys. There's different types based on, we kind of classify them based on how that fruiting body looks. So
Right.
it's a mushroom, or the like the morel is kind of more of a round shape. Sometimes just little tiny little guys that pop up.
Yeah.
That helps identify them. We'll talk more about that in class. And don't forget to remind us to show you the killer fungi
Yes.
video. It's kind of
Yeah,
a
it's
fun
pretty
3-minute
cool.
video that's fun to watch. So don't forget to remind us in class to watch that video. All right, so 7th grade, we're going to stop there, and we thank you guys for watching.
Bye.